Hello everyone, welcome to Toyeen Talks. How you doing? Thank you for watching. Till I'll see you in my next video. Stay safe, stay blessed. I love you. Bye.
I just want everybody to listen carefully. When Yabo sent that advert to Instablog Niger, I know people at Instablog very well. I questioned it. Ear infection. Mohbad was a drug addict, but he had already said he got off drugs and he started his own new album, Everything. How do you know this? Then they showed the picture of a nurse saying that Mohbad came in sick and that he looked like they put juju on him. They were treating him for malaria. Remember that fake video we saw? After that, Daddy Freeze called me. I went live with Daddy Freeze. I said it's possibly related to drugs, but we don't know yet. Let's keep hearing. On the 12th is the day they have for Mohbad's death. Mohbad did not die on the 12th. I've told this to Yomi over and over. Mohbad died on the 11th. I interviewed 5 people in Mohbad's house and street. People that interviewed with me, Dr. Kemi Olunloyo. It takes a lot. As an investigative journalist, I was trained in this beat. When I interviewed 6 people at Dowen College, I came up on March 22nd and I said the father is negligent. This child was not beaten or killed by anybody. They put my phone number, my address, they bullied me and left Nigeria. At the end of the day, 2 years later, what did that inquest say? The inquest said the father was negligent. I know this job. The 5 people that I interviewed inside Mohbad's house and street, 3 were in that house. It's a total of 14 people living in that house. The whole music team was there. And 2 were on the streets. The neighbors on the streets told me Mohbad was already dead before the nurse arrived. Everybody was crying outside. Mohbad died in the house. The nurse came to a dead body and tried to revive Mohbad. They lied upon the nurse at the news conference. A case that happened close to 2 years ago, September 2023, the police has only updated the public one time in almost 2 years. The CP at the time, Owonha, had a press conference.
Can I chip in with a quick question there?
Sure.
So, did the nurse mother also lied against her daughter because she said
no? You can't ask that question because I'm on a real big train of thought. I'm giving you a timeline.
All right, go on.
After the timeline, then ask me those questions.
All right.
Owonha had a news conference. Okay. Before Owonha had the news conference, remember 12th is the day that they said, he's officially dead because he was dropped off on a Okada. They were in a car. We saw a video in the car. And when Mohbad had a contraction in his neck, they quickly switched off the video. Okay? That muscle contraction in his neck doesn't mean he was alive. He was already dead. If you kill a cow, muscle might still be moving. But when they brought him into the hospital, they planned several distractions. They planned somebody who would post on social media to say, I saw Mohbad in the hospital, I snapped with him. Did you hear that part?
Sure, I don't want to interrupt. Just go on, yeah.
Okay, everybody heard that part.
Yeah.
The part where somebody said they saw Mohbad and they snapped with him, it never happened. When he was brought in dead, DOA, that's what we call in America, dead on arrival, they gave them a death certificate. Now, when they gave them a death certificate, I've interviewed Perez, I've interviewed everybody. When they give them that death certificate, the next thing is to take the body to a mortuary. You cannot take a body without a death certificate to the mortuary. That death certificate was with Wumi. Wumi refused to give that death certificate to Mohbad's father. She held on to it. Wumi's mother, these are not allegations. I investigated him. Wumi's mother, a former top cop, made phone calls.
Oh my God, sorry, that's a mistake.
Okay, made phone calls.
Request. I'm not gonna bring you up. You're gonna antagonize her, and I don't want to do that. Guys, don't bring her corridor up. She's for women, and I don't want the disrespect.
I'm not here to fight anybody, you know. But
I know them. They have the anti-justice. They have
my time is very
where they pitch their tent. So I don't just want to have that. Just have your conversation.
Let me continue.
Yeah.
I'm only here for intelligent people because many things people don't know.
That's why I'm leaving them on board. Those who can rub minds together with you.
Please, let us so you can educate us.
We do entertain them sometimes.
Please,
we want
that's
to
why we're all listening.
Go on.
I will take your questions. I'm just giving you the timeline of what I did because nobody else touched this case, and there's a reason. We're now on September 12th. Brought in death certificate. While Wumi held on to the death certificate, the mother made phone calls to the DPO in Aja. Okay, I lived in Aja. I was the one responsible for changing the entire police station after the death of two people, the female lawyer and the young man. So I called the DPO. She had already influenced him as a police officer that they must not give Joseph Aloba a police report. One of his assistants, I won't mention names, somebody in that police station told me, because of a reason. Okay, the daughter is holding the death certificate. The mother is saying they shouldn't give a police report. So they got to the Ikorodu mortuary and they won't take the body. Aloba now told them to go and bury the boy. No one's going to keep a dead body in their house. So the whole of Nigeria was there with the misinformation. Misinformation spreads fast. You saw what happened in London with the boy that stabbed the 3 girls. Misinformation can destroy the world. But with that misinformation, people were saying, why did Aloba quickly bury his son? Why did he do that? It was not Aloba that quickly buried his son. He had no choice. They refused to give him the birth certificate. They refused to give him a police report. So he went and buried his son. But because of Yoruba tradition, he's not allowed to see the body and all. So he put Darosha and Adura in charge of that whole thing. They took Mohbad somewhere. They shaved his head, you know, and the man told me on my interview, I interviewed Aloba on Instagram Live. He told me he doesn't know why they shaved the boy's head. Mohbad had a broken neck. His neck was broken visibly in that casket. But people were saying they brought a short casket. No, his carotid artery in his neck was busted like a balloon. Either he was strangled or he fell or somebody stabbed him in the neck. That's the first thing I saw. Now, I called the police. I made several calls. Some of the people that worked for me, these interns were living in Aja and Songotedo. When I sent them to the inquest in Ikorodu, that's 25,000 for the Uber, back and forth. I paid a lot of money. I know Wolori case Mohbad, and it was my money. At the end of the day, what happened next was the 15th of September. The NDLEA called me. The DSS called me. And there was 2 reasons why they did that, because Iyabo and Tonto had taken over the investigation and they were now the investigative journalists. Iyabo was posting, if you have any information, call me, blah, blah, blah. What they were doing was they were raising money for the widow. Okay, these people don't really have real jobs. Tonto doesn't have any real job. All they do is this foundation and they raise money. So at the end of the day, they were raising money for the widow. And they were also defaming Chairman Marwa. And I was an NDLA volunteer for 2 years. So Baba Femi called me and told me that, do I remember the interview that I did with Cool FM with regards to the NDLEA raid? I said, yeah, I have it. I have it here. They needed that interview. The reason they needed that interview was because I also had a video of Wumi coming out of the Marlian house about to attack an NDLA officer. And Sheyi, Mohbad's manager, was calling her, trying to stop her. Wumi, stop, Wumi, stop. I had that exclusive video. So why did the NDLA need me? Because they needed a timeline around that. And this is the reason when I do videos, I put my date and time. That's what they call authentication. If you don't authenticate your footage at that time, it can cost you a lot of money later. So I authenticated that video. I had the timestamp on it, February of 2022, everything. The people that were arrested that night did not include Mohbad. Mohbad and Wumi got away. When they were pushing them into the van, they got away. The very next day after that raid, I messaged Naira Marley in Sweden on WhatsApp. And I said, Naira, get on the plane and come home. They raided your house and everybody was taken. You need to be on your way to Nigeria now. I saw the blue mark on WhatsApp, meaning that he read it and he was on the plane. But before Naira arrived, we saw Mohbad on a video the very next day. If anything happens to me, blame Naira Malian music. Something was going on in the house because we didn't understand why he was saying we should blame Naira Malian music. That was the first sign of the bullying issue. Now, reason why NDLA needed that thing was because Tonto and Yabo were fielding out information that the NDLA arrested Mohbad and they poisoned him. They gave him a drink because of a video that Mohbad was seen talking. That video was done in a hospital when Mohbad was bullied by Naira Marley and some other people. Oh no. So he ended up in the hospital with high blood pressure and all. That was 5th of October, 2022. Raid, February. On the 5th of October, 2022, while Nigerians did nothing, while nobody in the industry did nothing, while the police did nothing, I was the one engaging Mohbad live on Twitter. The tweets are there. 5th of October. I was saying, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. Your blood pressure is a little high. Then I added a doctor who is a friend of mine, Dr. MK, on Twitter. I said, MK, look at this boy's blood pressure machine. What do you see? He said, oxygen saturation is very low. Only a power now. At the end of the last tweet I put was a Naira Mali Letoi. It's still there. You can go and look at it on Twitter. I was the only one that intervened in the entire industry. Everybody kept quiet. I won't bully. Iyabo Ojo was aware that Mohbad was being bullied because Polo told her. And that boy did not want to come back after the Manchester concert. He told Polo he wants to file asylum in the UK. And Polo said he can't do it so. Now let's go back to the death. So on the 15th, when I gave the NDLA information, Marwa sent an email to me, the chairman, and he said he has requested from the Lagos office the list of the people that were arrested on that day. When the list came, the list was forwarded to me as well. And the list had everyone's name in the Malian house except Ilerioluwa Oladimeji Aloba. He was not arrested. So the NDLA was vindicated. The drink that they said they gave him, that's rehab. In rehab, I'm also a pharmacist, so that helped them. In rehab, you have to have a mixture of drugs that they give you. Okay, what they gave you is not the same thing as they will give another patient. Everybody has different levels of drugs inside them. So Yabo and Tonto escalated that as if the NDLA poisoned them. So Marwa was not having it with defamation, with the kind of work Marwa has done. He called the DSS. These are things I couldn't tell you before. Marwa called the DSS and got them involved. Sanwo-Olu now tweeted that the DSS has now joined the case. They almost arrested Iyabo and Tonto. Chinchini. When DSS arrests you, they will not let you go for 2 years. Chinchini, they would have arrested those two. They were very lucky. Especially Tonto, because they defamed the chairman. Honestly, if you know who's involved in this case, the National Security Advisor had to really intervene and everything. So on the 15th, when I finished with the DSS and the NDLA, I now worked with them when I began with them on the 15th, they had exhumed Mohbad. Okay, Dr. Olufunmilayo was the one that instigated the exhumation. It was not Iyabo Ojo. Iyabo's fans are always trying to give her credit for one thing or the other. Iyabo did not have Mohbad exhumed. It was Dr. Olufunmilayo. If you know Dr. Olufunmilayo, that physician that was in London, Olufunmilayo said, why did they rush and bury Mohbad? Why was an autopsy not done? The problem is that people didn't understand the reason why the boy was rushed. People did not want him in the mortuary. His mother-in-law and his common law wife did not want him in the mortuary because they rigged him. They rigged him with a cocktail of drugs. And they wanted to hide that. That was the reason why they didn't want that boy in the mortuary and denied the father a death certificate and a police report. What he rigged a cocktail full of drugs, already. That's why that man had to go and bury the child. Now, that being said, Olufunmilayo was the one that instigated that thing because Lagos State government replied him right on the tweet and they decided to exhume Mohbad. Iyabo just tried to, this is what they do in Nigeria. They hijack somebody else's hard work and they claim it as theirs. Okay, so now Mohbad was exhumed, taken to a mortuary. and they said they will do an autopsy. So I started work with the NDLE on the 15th, and we finished on the 30th, 2 weeks, 15th to the 30th. And the NDLE wrote a final letter to the police saying, this is what we have to say, we have been exonerated, and that was the end of their own part and the DSS. On the 30th of September, I did a 60-day comprehensive investigation. I interviewed 5 people who were witnesses. I said everything that happened, and I mentioned the CC camera at the door of the house, which they told the police wasn't working. It was fully working, and everything it captured went inside that phone. The phone that Mohbad owned. Mohbad's iPhone had an iCloud server, and the clip went into there. Whoever Spending is, Ayobami, somebody called Spendisha, that person is the only person that knows the password to the iCloud server. So it was either him that deleted it or Wumi, but the phone went to Wumi after Mohbad died. The phone showed up at Bosede's house, and Wumi went back to steal the phone at Bosede's house because they knew there was something in there. Now, somewhere down the line, when I mentioned the iCloud server, we could have given them the clues. That's how it works. While you're trying to explain things to the world, you accidentally give them clues. And they know, Kemi Olunloyo is talking about that iCloud server. Let's just go and look at it now, erase it. Now, at the end of the day, VDM came in when the whole story about the child started. Okay, I was the one that first mentioned the child because of the content of the interview I had with someone in the house. In your compound concert, that person came to the house with them. Okay, I did 3 hours live with Prime Boy. I did a lot of interviews live. I did some behind that you don't know, but somebody that went to the concert with them and went to the house with them said the argument started over a child. The child and the Canadian visa started all this in the car. Okay. When they started this fight, they got into the car. Prime Boy put his bag in the car. The fight got elevated and they sped off without Prime Boy. Prime Boy said he told Cubana Chief Priest, my bag is in the car, how am I going to go? Cubana Chief Priest told him to wait, that when we finish cleaning up, I will drop you there. When he called Wumi about the bag, we're coming to get the bag, Wumi told him not to come to the house because something had already happened. The fight happened on top of the step, and the people that witnessed the fight spoke to me. Okay, they have very toxic fights, and this particular fight, Mohbad actually fought for his life. And the fighting for your life and punching and trying to get away from Wumi is why you saw all those bumps and swelling on Wumi's forehead at the grave when they were burying Mohbad. Was swelling now. So at the end of the day, they thought they got rid of Mohbad. They even threw Ado inside. Do you know what Ado is? Does anybody know what Ado is? Ado, one black thing like this that they use like a pot for juju. They threw Ado into his grave, they buried him, and they thought they got away with murder. Unfortunately, what happened on that step culminates to a metal object. They're saying is the railing, a metal object stabbed Mohbad in the neck. And it was totally an accident. And when you have an accident, that's second-degree murder, manslaughter. I have finished my investigation in 60 days, and then I wrapped it up. I did a report, 8 pages, and I sent it to CP Owoha. He did not reply me for a month. Then I replied him, I messaged him, I said, Owoha, what about my report? Then they told me that he's gone. CPO Wunha is gone to the Interpol and is retired and all that stuff. He's at the Interpol. Okay, who is the person in charge now? Where's DCP Ayilara? He's the head of Kwanti. He's the lead officer in the homicide team. I worked as a volunteer with Toronto Police. You guys saw what Toronto Police wrote when Harper was deporting me from Canada. Toronto Police said I helped them solve 13 murders. Not only in Toronto, but in other jurisdictions. Peel region, everything. I know this job. How can I not solve a homicide in Nigeria? At the end of the day, the whole thing about the DCP was he was the head of the homicide team that they wrote in the beginning. Where is Ayilara? The power struggle in Lagos Police Command was so bad that Ayilara wanted to be the next CP, but they will not put him as the next CP. So to satisfy him, Egbetokun promoted him and took him to Akwa Ibom so that he can be called CP. I mean, this thing is like do or die. So they moved him to Akwa Ibom, CP. That's when the Mohbad investigation totally broke down and nothing was happening. Okay? And 2003 ended. We got back into 2024. And then they were telling us the toxicology test was in America. There was no toxicology test done. Some people protested. They went to the lab. They said they wanted to see more. They now messed up by taking the story to an American angle, which made those guys in America go call local reporters, and they went to protest in front of the lab. We found out the lab belongs to the guy that's doing forensic for them in Lagos. We know to the lab America. What I found out was that the toxicology test and the autopsy that was released in March or April of last year by Cable NG was fake. Cable NG is a fake news organization. I don't care what you tell me. You cannot compare Cable NG to Premium Times or Sahara Reporters. These guys running Cable NG, they were paid by someone very, very prominent. Okay, me it's ready for everybody. Yes, 3 Nigeria it's ready for me. Okay, 3 days local. Sherry NT or someone from Cable NG. Last he come up with a fake toxicology test and a fake report. Failed. I went under the freeze and I said, Freeze, what is this? We can't have this kind of drugs in somebody's body. They've been under the ground for 7 days. The toxicology test they had in May of last year had acetaminophen, the American name for paracetamol. I'm a pharmacist. They had diphenhydramine injection, 50 milligrams. I love Mohbad diphenhydramine 50 milligrams in Nigeria. We don't market it. Nigerians were arguing, saying, I don't know what I'm saying. Diphenhydramine is sold in Nigeria. Diphenhydramine is not sold in Nigeria on its own entity. It only exists in cough syrups, okay, and cold medicines in 12.5 and 25 milligram. It does not exist like Benadryl in America. The injection 50 milligram, we do not use it clinically in Nigeria. You can call any physician and they will tell you that. Nigerians started arguing, abusing me. At that point, I had to leave Daddy Freeze. Freeze came to me in the DM begging me to come back. I want your tongue ready. Photo. People that don't like the truth. I can't be doing that. My time is precious. People pay me for these kind of things in America to come on shows and all that. At the end of the day, it was fake. Cable NG didn't say a word. Lagos State government didn't say a word. Wumi did not say a word. If your husband dies, and a toxicology test comes out after 5 months, and the whole of Nigeria is excited, would you have a press conference and talk to the media? Wumi said nothing. Abosede said nothing. Instead, Abosede was granting interviews to Punch, crying her eyes out there. There was a conspiracy. They knew the truth. And what Abosede is doing is Abosede is protecting her son, Adura, and her daughter-in-law, Wumi, from prosecution. We have seen that many times in the United States. Okay? Until family starts turning in family, the world can never be a better place. So at the end of the day, Cable NG didn't say a word. We let May, June, July, August, September. In October, Lagos State government had a news conference. The DPP had his news conference. At one